This is Andy Purewal for Boxing News, and I'm joined by Mike Coppinger here in not necessarily the immediate aftermath, but the aftermath of sorts of what was a dominant and stunning performance from Artur Beterbiev against Callum Smith. Mike, what did you make of what we saw tonight?
I'm not sure it was stunning. I think most of us expected it, at least on the other side of the ponds. Callum Smith is a very solid fighter, but Artur Beterbiev is potentially an all-time great. I think he's probably headed for the Hall of Fame. There's a reason he's been on the pound list for so many years. And, he's talked about as a power puncher, but he's really much more than that. You see that jab was on point. He was changing levels with it. He busted up Callum Smith's nose by, round 2. And I thought it was really smart pressure. Callum was game. Full credit to him. He got up from the 2 knockdowns. But I think we all can agree that was the right stoppage from trainer Buddy McGirt.
It was dominant from the get-go there, Mike, but what did you make of... I just want to get your thoughts on the start of the fight where Artur somewhat, not necessarily rushed, but certainly went straight towards Callum's corner, put him back against the ropes, asserted his dominance. He played it down in the post-fight press conference, but it seemed to set the tone for the fight.
Yeah, I know it's the British you guys would call it. He seems a bit cheeky, right? Beterbiev, I think that's what you'd call it. But... for a second I was like, is he going to stop him? I thought for a second he was, not that I thought, but it was just the way he was I saw Smith kind of lean onto the ropes, and I was like, oh no, I hope I didn't come all the way out here for, first round. But, Callum was tough, and he settled in a little bit, but he never seemed all that comfortable, and that was a tiny ring. That was an 18 by 18 foot ring. Standard ring is 22 by 22. So that didn't do Callum Smith any favors either, but he simply had no answers in there.
There's one question I don't know whether you'll know or not. Obviously, you mentioned that 18-foot ring. When would the fighters be told from the Canadian Commission, which would have sanctioned this fight? Would they have known previously, or would it have been in the contracts for the fight? Because it seemed to, when it was released yesterday, I believe, or this morning, when we woke up, there was a lot of shocked people to hear or find out that news.
It really depends on the jurisdiction. Sometimes, it's in the contract. Other times, they try to, sneak something by the fighter. I remember last year in Guadalajara that they had a really tiny ring for Canelo Ryder, if you recall, and they had to stretch it out and make it a little bigger. But this is boxing. The hometown fighter always gets an advantage. I don't think it would have mattered if it was a 50-foot ring, but certainly it didn't help Smith.
It certainly didn't. And obviously all eyes now will turn towards the future, will turn towards that undisputed bout. Mike, when would you expect to start seeing those negotiations to gather pace?
Tomorrow, Monday. Well, I guess it's Sunday, but Monday. I mean, the Saudis seem to want the fight. And it's really one of the 3 best fights you can make in all of boxing. I think it's a historical matchup. It's one of the best fights you can make over the last 15 years, just because no one's really come all that close to beating Bivol or Beterbiev. And it's not just that they're great fighters. It's that they seem to have a bit of animosity too, right? Did you see that? When I think it was me that I asked Beterbiev, oh, Bivol's not great? And he goes, no, he's not great. And he said he wasn't great either. Of course, they're both great. And I think we can really see who's really great. Because a lot of fighters, you need that other guy that can match you to really see how good you are. And I think they both need it.
Both men obviously fighting with a matter of weeks apart of each other. Beterbiev a lot more fresher in my mind than Dimitri's. But with that in mind, has your thought or opinion changed on who you think might win an undisputed bout?
I think it's a genuine coin flip fight. On one side you have Bivol, who's a classical boxer with incredible footwork and incredible jab, very bouncy, knows angles. And I think the biggest difference between Bivol and Beterbiev is that Bivol's already fought once on the top level, and that was against Canelo Alvarez, and he routed him. Beterbiev's toughest opponent was probably Alexander Vosdik, so he was, several levels below Canelo Alvarez. So I think that would aid Bivol. He's also 33. Beterbiev's going to turn 39 later this month, but so far Beterbiev has not shown any decline with age, in my opinion.
Where does that performance from Beterbiev rank tonight in amongst his career so far?
Certainly it was a better performance than he had 1 year ago against Anthony Yarde, but you have to give Anthony Yarde a lot of credit. Anthony Yarde hurt him. It was a much, much more exciting fight. Tonight's fight wasn't necessarily boring, but it was tactical, I would say. There was never a time where if you were a fan, you probably had to jump out of your seat before the finish, right? Maybe the very start of the fight. But, I don't know where Callum Smith goes from here.
Well, Mike, I won't leave that one up to you to discuss. Obviously, you're not part of the team unless you have an opinion as to where you think Callum Smith could go?
Not really, but it's just tough because he's at 175 now, and obviously, the 2 best guys are Bivol and Beterbiev. So it's not really the deepest division, but I'm sure he'll be back out there. And, it's a tough loss for him, but he was just against an elite fighter.
Mike, we will leave that there now. Leave you to obviously crack on with the rest of your work, enjoy the rest of your evening, night now. And I'll see you whenever the next show is.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.